Keep going and welcome to the new session. We have different settings in different sessions, and it looks like I'm one of the guests in this session, but I will indeed leave my seat to İsmail Kolunsağ as a member of the board of Istanbul Apparel Exporters Association. We'll have valuable guests here. Member of the board, Haldun is with us. Welcome to the session. And at the same time, we will have Mr. Dirk Vantyghem, the General Director of EURATEX. Thank you very much, sirs. And in this part, we will be discussing about EU textile strategy and Green Deal. And this is the theme of the debate that will take place in this session. This is what the panelists will be discussing, how the EU announced textile as a strategic sector. It's really important. It's going to be an example probably for Turkey, the apparel and textile industry being an index priority sector for Turkey. And during the pandemics, you know that Turkey has become preferable over Far East, and it's going to be a debate around these themes. I'm not going to steal from your time, and İsmail Kolunsağ now takes over the moderation. Okay, in this session, we will be discussing about EU textile strategy and the Green Deal. Welcome, distinguished speakers. My name is İsmail Kolunsağ. I'm a member of the board in İHKİB. At the same time, EURATEX İHKİB officer, let's say. In this panel, we'll be discussing about rather technical points, and probably it will be a more didactic, discussion. Now, member of İHKİB, Mr. Haldun is one of our speakers in the session. Welcome. And the second guest in the panel is the General Director of EURATEX, Mr. Dirk Vantyghem. EURATEX is actually an organization in the EU that provides favorable environment for textile. And Dirk will be giving us some information about the textile strategy of European Union. As you would appreciate, the pandemic has already changed entirely the way of doing business for the future, particularly. And all the processes in the world have accelerated thanks to digitalization. Maybe the point of reach in expected 10 years have been taken in just 1.5 years. Of course, in the apparel and ready-wear industry, we do have a dynamic infrastructure. The investments are always planned ahead, which obviously are advantages for us, as it will be for the future. In a sustainable way, together with the pandemics, the new policy targets were decided to be in a more concrete way, and we've been witnessing these policies reflected in government documents and some already transformed into legislation. In terms of sustainability, the industry has now adopted the conditions that always have been demanded by the buyers, passed some controls and auctions, and now Turkey has become one of the most important suppliers for the European Union. Sustainability fields regulations are now dominated by the governments, as you know. And you all appreciate that. Back in 2019, in December, the European Union announced a Green Deal that triggered a very swift transformation process. The European announcing the Green Deal not only created a policy paper, but at the same time undertook a piece of legislation that is to transform the entire industry. So it's really an important piece of document. Within the framework of the European Green Deal, the transformation process that is expected will also imply different changes in terms of responsibilities and finances, considering the fact that most of our sector is SME-based. Yes, Haldun, I'd like to start with you. What do you think the EU Green Deal, what are the implications for the ready-wear and textile industry? Thank you very much for the question. My name is Haldun Boz, as you know. I'm a member of İHKİB Executive Board, and at the same time, International Relations Study Group I'm just leading. Now, to be brief, the apparel and fashion industry already have been discussing sustainability for a very long time. I can say that it started back in the first half of 1980s. The first polybags putting on the green recycle sign, and when we first saw it we didn't have an idea at all. And the nylon bags, you remember, the bags, the packing materials are to be recycled, and it was back in those days that we discussed about the recycling and sustainability. It's been a process that Turkey has followed quite closely, Turkey being one of the most important suppliers of the European Union. In time, just by itself, automatically, or later on maybe becoming more aware, we started paying more attention to sustainability, and just let us take a quite long way, I can say. So the European Union countries are the biggest market for Turkey. So our business partners, customers in those countries incrementally started demanding for all these aspects to be met in their orders. In addition to that, our country became a member to the Customs Union in a special status with the European Union. With that position, of course, we paid more attention to sustainability, and although the requirements and the legislation that was required for full membership now, despite of our non-membership, is there, but it's been an advantage for us as one of the most reliable partners of the European Union. I can say that Turkey has taken quite a long way in fulfilling the requirements of the European Union, which is just the reason why we're picking the fruits in these problematic times. Rather than a preference, sustainability has become a must. So the criteria for sustainability have already been adopted by many manufacturers, producers, exporters, and as a partner of European Union. We've been going through a lot of audits, and the results of these audits already prove that we have taken quite a way. Majority of the industry in Turkey, particularly global and international players, have already reached the position of fulfilling these standards. And I can say it for many companies that I know closely, except for my own company, because we all have been working for the exports field for quite an intensive way. So in this respect, Turkey, unlike many competitors of the sector, is doing a lot better in terms of the rights of the employees working in this industry, and also in terms of environmental responsibilities. Apparel and ready-wear industry, I can say, when compared to many competitors, has been following very high standards, despite of the fact that our competitors have been making more money because of the lower costs. So we can compete with the rest of the world thanks to our quality level. And in many exports markets of Europe, we can compete against developed countries like Italy. It's not just based on price competition, but the standards we're fulfilling have made us preferable over many countries. The Green Deal, announced by the EU back in 2019, is a process that involves standards, audits that we have been going through for quite a long time, but this time these have become compulsory. Rather than preferential reasons, the sector has to follow these rules because the rules of the game have been redefined in a sense. So, thanks to these audits and development processes, the obligatory legislation imposed by the European Union is already known by the Turkish industrialists, so we are in a sense ready. But one point I'd like to highlight, the EU Green Deal although it's a new stage of the sustainability process we've been going, there is no, unique, there is no agreed standard in the world. It should be in a way that the football standards are applicable around the globe. So we need the same audits, the same level of standardization, certification, applicable in all countries the same way. I think it's really a must and a demand from Turkey that the same rules apply everywhere around the globe. By the way, every big business partner or buyer company, instead of them running individual audits, I think it would be a preferred way to have a standard way of being audited, maybe once, but applicable for all business partners, producers, industrialists, where the same standards are being applied to all our counterparts. Then people will see that Turkey will lead the European markets all at once, making it possible for us to become the largest and the highest quality supplier in Europe in very short time. I'm sure we as a team have this target, team meaning those people representing 75% of the Turkish apparel and textile industry, meeting more than $15 billion in Turkey. So this is a target for us. We want to be the first in Europe, and this is a deserved place in our opinion. Please proceed. But beyond that, of course, there is a new process next to it. Together with the changing dynamics in pandemics, the purchasing strategies are changing. Carbon footprint brought the zero, or the bottlenecks in supply processes have really pushed us quite hard in Turkey as in other industries. We have a geographical proximity advantage for Europe, and now that we're already on the European continent, a candidate country, a part of the customs union, as we are a very active member of EURATEX, represented by Dirk. So as a member of the EURATEX, we are very active, which brings us to an advantageous position. Next to it, Turkey, in my opinion, has the right to demand things from the European Union. Nevertheless, this high demand from Europe that has been quite intensive and now is becoming even more intensive from United States and the American continent, I believe that there is a new challenge for us. And the reason for that is that now we're pushing the boundaries of our capacity, and now we're questioning whether Turkish capacity is enough to meet that demand. Because, for a very long time we tried hard. Although the sector is a conventional one for Turkey, and in a scale of Turkey, I think we need to be considered as an innovative industry, and we've uttered it before several government bodies, but unfortunately we are not named amongst the 6 strategic sectors by the government. Of course, no country can develop with a single industry. We do not claim it, but this sector contributes a lot to employment in Turkey with a high added value, with a high foreign exchange input. So it's number one even amongst the other sectors. So in this respect, as in a developing country like Turkey, I think apparel has a big place. So I think it's worth reconsidering, and we deserve being named as a strategic sector, as in Europe. I think it should be reconsidered in Turkey, as the case is in Europe. It's for this reason that building new capacity means physical capacity creation on one side, equal to innovation, equal to financing. Most of the time, SMEs are running the industry, as you know. And this may be a problem. So although they might have good intentions, the enterprises working in the industry may face some financial problems. Public authority is going through, some dialogue, yes, but it doesn't suffice. So the sector needs huge finances. Therefore, there is a need for an incentive system maybe in running our relations with the public authority. That's all for the moment. Maybe the last thing to close is, as a team, we endeavor in our working groups, considering also the corporate structure of the team, we want to increase our high-quality exports with the European Union. And we are sure and are confident that our members are decisive about it. We have taken some way, probably ahead of us, but we are quite confident as much as what we do. Thank you very much, Haldun. Before moving to Dirk, there is another question I'd like to ask you, and we are running out of time, of course, quite quickly. There are many activities that are being conducted in Turkey. For instance, the strategy paper that was announced by the Turkish Exporters Assembly. Can you briefly tell us about these activities as well? Yes, sure, quite briefly, because I don't want to consume the entire time. As Turkey, our relations with the EU is quite unique. You know, it should be quite different than other third countries. EU authority is not to be considered, as the others, because there is a customs union going on, and there is a very long-going, unfortunately, never-ending candidacy process going on, and we have a membership with EURATEX. Therefore, I think we should have a unique strategy or a unique position. Therefore, there are some unique rights attached to this status. To comply with the European Union legislation, we have improved our legislation at a very advanced way so as to become in harmony with the legislation, and this is an ongoing process. Right after the announcement of the Green Deal, Turkey also started thinking about the potential implications of the Green Deal, and without expecting for the explanations of the European Union, Turkey acted quite proactively. In this respect, as you would know, all the policy fields were just converted into a roadmap to support the Green Deal. Turkish Green Deal action plan was enforced in July 2021 with the approval of the presidential circular, and with the leadership of the Ministry of Commerce, public authorities and private sector cooperated to create this action plan with 9 main headings, including 32 targets. We are running out of time. If you like, I'll turn to Dirk and then come back to you if time allows. Let's stop here if you want, and I will get back to you. Anything you'd like to ask me, I will answer you. I was to give you some idea about the themes of the action plan. So, Dirk, in the remaining 10 minutes, can I ask you a question?
Would you please first introduce yourself very fastly, and at the same time, in terms of Green Deal, how EU is approaching to our industry, and how about the approach of EURATEX to this industry, and a couple of...
Thank you, Ismail, for the introduction, for the welcome. It's good to be back in Istanbul after 2 years of absence. So it's good to be together again and be able to discuss with our Turkish colleagues and friends about the future of our textiles industry in Europe. As you know, my job at EURATEX is to represent the entire European textile and clothing industry, including Turkey. And it's good to be here and to be able to discuss our common future. As it was said before, back in Brussels, the European Commission is indeed preparing a dedicated textile strategy. And before the end of this year, so very soon, in the next 2-3 months, we can expect an official communication from the European Union sharing its perspective on the future of our industry. This is quite unique. It hasn't happened in the last 20-30 years that the Commission is coming out with an official plan, communication on a dedicated sector of the textile sector. So which emphasizes I would say the importance, the recognition of the importance of the textile industry back in Brussels. I think in the past it has not always been the case. And actually textiles is not just part of this dedicated or subject of this dedicated strategy. There is ongoing a wider reflection and planning on the entire European industry. What is the future business model for the entire European industry? Looking at 14 different ecosystems, sectors as we call it. Textiles is one of them. So textiles is very much in the picture in Brussels. Obviously, it's linked to the Green Deal that was mentioned before. You know that Brussels is very ambitious when it comes to reducing the environmental impact of the industry, of the society at large. And in that very ambitious Green Deal project, textiles is one of the target sectors, because we should recognize that we do have an environmental impact that needs to be addressed, that needs to be improved. At the same time, I think it's also important to refer to the impact of the corona crisis. COVID-19 has had a heavy impact on the industry. Textiles, there's been some comparative analysis done in Brussels. Textiles is considered to be the second worst hit sector of the economy. Tourism was even worse, so to speak. But so that has generated, that has created a kind of a recognition that we need to do something about the future of the textile industry. So this is, if you want, the framework, Green Deal, COVID-19, and on that basis, again, back in Brussels, the legislator, European Commission, European Union at large, is reflecting, is planning, if you want, a vision, a business plan, if you want, for the future of our industry. Now, of course, as EURATEX representing the private sector, the textile industry, our role is to discuss, to present ideas and arguments that should be incorporated in that strategy. Because obviously we want the strategy to be focusing, yes, on sustainability, but at the same time to ensure that our industry has a future, is competitive in a very globalized sector of the economy. So how do we reconcile sustainability and competitiveness in a single plan? That is the challenge that we have. I'm happy to say that we've been working with our members, including the Turkish textile and apparel community, in developing what we call a vision strategy, a vision for the future of our industry, trying to identify what are the key demands or what are the key issues that we should be addressing, to build up or to strengthen this competitive business model. We have three main objectives, or three main targets. One, we believe that we should be a global leader on sustainable textiles. So we want Europe, and I take Turkey as part of Europe in this context, we want to be a leader in sustainable textiles. Second, we recognize that we need to work on improving the efficiency of our industry. And three, we need to look at the global dimension of the textile industry. Within each of those three objectives, we have developed specific action points, specific, let's say, targets related to what you mentioned before about the audits, about how do you measure sustainability, what is a sustainable product, about how do we manage textile waste, how do we change consumer behavior, how do we change government behavior in terms of public procurement. We need to work on the skills problem. Digitalization is coming into the sector very much. How do we prepare our workforce for such a digital revolution? We need to invest in innovation. We need to try to obtain, as you mentioned before, financial support for the SMEs to make this what we call green and digital transition. We need to ensure on the global dimension that we work or we develop what we call a level playing field, so that every company, EU, Turkey, Bangladesh, Brazilian, American, competes freely, but based on the same conditions. So we have this, if you want, wish list in this vision paper that we have developed as EURATEX, and we are in the coming weeks and months working hard with our members and with EU officials, but also national officials here in Turkey, in the member states of the EU, to push those ideas forward and to make sure that this EU textile strategy, once again, will will embrace sustainability, but at the same time secure a bright future for the industry so that the competitiveness of our companies is guaranteed in the longer run. So that is what we are working on at EURATEX, and once again, we continue to work with a strong and positive input from our Turkish colleagues in this adventure.
For your words. So by the end of the year, we are also planning to actually have a communication, especially as you all know, there will be some important changes in the regulation. So we'll also communicate our members how they will react against this regulation, especially in terms of carbon footprint, sustainability of our members, what they have to do, how they can plan for the future. So we are just helping them so as to have a brighter future. Thank you very much, both of you, for your contribution. And we have very limited time. I'm just very sorry for that. But thank you very much and have a nice day. Thank you very much. We have a lot to say, but we don't have time, of course. We have very limited time. So also on behalf of my association, I would like to thank you both and wish for the success of this conference.